At a party, she runs into her ex and calls her millionaire boss her boyfriend, until a kiss says it all. Hello everyone. Before we begin today's story, I have a small favor to ask. Please hit subscribe and turn on the notification bell so you never miss our channel's new videos. It is quick, it is free, and it is the best way to support us in bringing you more dramatic stories like this one. Your support truly means the world to us. And tell me, where are you watching from right now? Drop your city or country in the comments below. Thank you very much. Now, let us go back to our main character. She stands just inside the ballroom doors, one hand tightening around the thin strap of her evening bag, the other resting against her ribcage as if to slow her breathing. The room glows with warm amber light, chandeliers scattering reflections across polished marble floors. Crystal glasses clink, laughter rises and falls in smooth, confident waves. Everyone here looks like they belong. Everyone except her. She tells herself she is only here for 1 hour, 60 minutes. Smile, shake hands, make small talk, then leave quietly. That was the plan. She repeats it in her head as she steps forward, heels clicking too loudly on the floor, each sound reminding her that this dress is borrowed, not owned, and that she is still learning how to walk in rooms like this without apologizing for her presence. Then she sees him. Across the room, near the champagne tower, stands her ex. He has not changed. Same tailored suit, same careless smile, same way of leaning slightly back, as if the world has always made room for him without effort. He is laughing with a group of people who look important, people who once looked through her as if she were invisible. Her stomach tightens. Of all the nights, of all the places. She turns instinctively, searching for an exit, but it is too late. His eyes land on her, and recognition flashes across his face. Surprise, then amusement, and finally, that familiar, condescending confidence she remembers too well. He walks toward her. Every step he takes feels like a countdown. She knows what is coming. The polite greeting that cuts like a blade. The casual question designed to expose her. The unspoken reminder that he moved on to bigger things, while she stayed exactly where he left her. She forces a smile anyway, because that is what she has learned to do. "Wow," he says, stopping in front of her, eyes flicking over her dress, her posture, her hands. "I did not expect to see you here." Before she can answer, his gaze drifts past her shoulder, scanning the room. "So," he adds lightly, "who did you come with?" The question hangs between them, heavy and sharp. Her mind goes blank. She cannot say the truth. She cannot say she came alone. She cannot give him the satisfaction of watching her shrink under his gaze, of confirming every assumption he ever made about her. And then, without thinking, without planning, she turns and points to the man standing beside her. "This is my boyfriend," she says. The word leaves her mouth before she can take it back. For a split second, the world freezes. The man she has just claimed stiffens almost imperceptibly. He is tall, composed, dressed in a dark suit that looks understated but expensive. He had been quietly reviewing something on his phone, completely detached from the social choreography around him. Now he looks up. His eyes meet hers. There is a pause, a dangerous one, the kind where everything could fall apart. Then, to her shock, he slips his phone into his pocket, steps closer, and places a steady hand at the small of her back. "Hi," he says smoothly, extending his other hand to her ex. "I am her boyfriend." Her heart slams against her ribs. She can feel the warmth of his palm through the fabric of her dress. Grounding, certain, as if he has done this 1,000 times before. Her ex blinks, clearly thrown off. His smile falters for half a second before he recovers, shaking the man's hand. "Well," he says, forcing a laugh, "I did not realize." The man beside her smiles, calm and effortless. "Most people do not," he replies. She stares straight ahead, afraid that if she looks at him, he will see the panic in her eyes, afraid that if she breathes too deeply, the lie will collapse. She does not know yet that this single sentence, spoken in desperation, has just pulled her into a game she cannot control. And she definitely does not know that the man holding her steady is not just any guest at this party, because the lie has already begun, and there is no easy way out. She does not move right away. She cannot. Her body stays perfectly still, but inside, everything is spinning. The music swells somewhere behind her. Laughter breaks out near the bar. The party continues as if nothing has happened, as if her entire life has not just tilted on its axis. The man beside her lowers his hand from her back, slow and deliberate, giving her space without abandoning her. That alone tells her he understands more than he is letting on. Her ex forces another smile, thinner this time. "Well," he says, glancing between them, "you definitely upgraded." The words land exactly where he intends them to. She feels the old instinct rise in her chest, the familiar urge to apologize for existing, to explain herself, to soften the room for everyone else. She swallows it down. "Excuse us," the man says calmly, already guiding her away before she can react. They move through the crowd together, not rushed, not dramatic. To anyone watching, they look like a couple stepping aside for a private moment. To her, it feels like walking on unsteady ground, trusting a stranger to keep her from falling. They stop near a tall window overlooking the city. The lights outside stretch endlessly, distant and indifferent. She exhales, long and shaky. "I am so sorry," she says immediately, words tumbling out. "I did not plan that. I did not even think. I just—" "You panicked," he says gently. "It happens." She blinks, surprised by the lack of judgment. "You did not have to help me," she adds. "You can still tell him the truth. You owe me nothing." He studies her for a moment, as if weighing something internally. "Tonight," he says, "telling the truth would not help you." Her shoulders tense. "You do not even know me." He nods once. "I know enough." She lets out a short, humorless laugh. "You know that I just dragged you into a lie in front of my ex, and in front of half the room," he says. "Yes." Silence stretches between them. She can feel the weight of the evening pressing in, the eyes she imagines watching them even now. "I will fix it," she says quietly. "I just need a minute to think." "If you walk back in there alone," he replies, "he will follow, and he will enjoy it." She hates that he is right. Her fingers curl tighter around her bag strap. "Then what do you suggest?" He looks past her, scanning the room with practiced ease. "We do this properly," he says. "For tonight." Her heart skips. "What does that mean?" "It means," he continues, voice steady, "I stay your boyfriend for the rest of the event. No improvising, no emotional reactions, just enough to make it believable." She stares at him. "You are serious?" "Yes." "Why?" He meets her gaze. "Because you deserve not to be cornered." The simplicity of the answer catches her off guard. "And what do you want in return?" she asks carefully. "Nothing complicated," he says. "You follow my lead. You do not explain. You do not apologize. And when tonight is over, we walk away like this never happened. A clean break. No strings. No debt." Her instincts scream at her not to trust this. But another part of her, the exhausted part, the part tired of always losing ground, wants to breathe for once. She nods slowly. "Okay," she says. "One night." "One night," he agrees. He offers his arm, not as a demand, but as a choice. She hesitates for half a second, then she takes it. As they turn back toward the crowd, she has no idea that this arrangement, meant to last only a few hours, is already setting rules neither of them will be able to keep, and the night is just beginning. They re-enter the party together, not as two people standing near each other, but as a unit. His hand rests lightly at her back again, steady and intentional, guiding her through the crowd. She notices how people look at them now, not with curiosity, but with acceptance. The room seems to adjust around him, conversations parting effortlessly as they pass. He leans closer, his voice low, meant only for her. "Rule number 1, he says. "You stay calm. Let me handle him." Because into the taker, private, unexpected is alive and waited. She nods, though her pulse is still racing. They do not make it 10 steps before her ex intercepts them again, a glass of champagne already in his hand, a smile rehearsed and sharp. "There you are," he says. "I was hoping to get a chance to catch up." The man beside her does not break stride. He stops smoothly, turning just enough to place himself half a step in front of her. It is subtle, protective, without being obvious. "Is there a reason you need one?" he asks. Her ex chuckles, clearly irritated now. "Just friendly conversation." "Then keep it friendly," the man replies. She almost does not recognize her own smile as it appears. It feels foreign on her face, but powerful. Her ex's eyes flicker to her again. "I did not know you were seeing someone so established." The word is deliberate. She opens her mouth, instinctively ready to deflect, but the man beside her speaks first. "We prefer to keep our relationship private," he says evenly. "Less noise that way." Something in his tone shuts the conversation down. Her ex lifts his glass slightly, masking his frustration. "Well," he says, "enjoy the party." He walks away, and she realizes only then how tightly she has been holding her breath. "Thank you," she murmurs. He does not look at her right away. That was the easy part. They move deeper into the room. Introductions begin to happen, one after another. Names she recognizes. Faces she has only seen in internal emails or company newsletters. Each time, he speaks first, anchoring the interaction, subtly framing her presence as unquestionable. "And you are?" someone asks her at one point, smiling politely. "She is with me," he answers before she can. No explanation, no justification, just certainty. She watches how people respond to him, how they listen, how they shift their attention when he speaks. It dawns on her slowly that this is not just confidence, it is authority. They pause near a small cocktail table. A waiter approaches, offering drinks. "Water," she says quickly. He nods. "Same." When they are alone again, she finally turns to him. "You do this often," she says. "What?" "Control rooms," she clarifies. A corner of his mouth lifts. "I have learned how to read them." She studies his face, searching for clues. "You still have not told me why you are helping me." He meets her gaze fully this time. "Because earlier," he says, "you did not try to hurt him back. You only tried to survive." The words land deeper than she expects. She looks away, embarrassed by the sudden tightness in her throat. "This is temporary," she reminds him quietly. "Yes," he agrees. "That is rule number 2. And after tonight, we forget this ever happened." He pauses for half a beat, not long enough for anyone else to notice. "That is the agreement," he says. She nods, reassured. Neither of them says what is already beginning to feel dangerously untrue, because as the night goes on, the lie is becoming easier to wear, and the line between pretending and something else is starting to blur. The shift is subtle at first. It happens between conversations, between polite smiles and passing glances. Somewhere along the way, she stops feeling like a guest, trying not to be exposed, and starts feeling like someone who belongs beside him. He adjusts his pace to match hers without saying a word. When she hesitates before joining a circle of executives, he steps in first, creating space for her naturally. When someone directs a question at her meant to test, not include, he redirects it with quiet authority, never making her feel small. "Relax your shoulders," he murmurs as they walk. "You look like you are bracing for impact." She exhales without realizing she was holding her breath. "You notice everything," she says. "I notice people who are being watched," he replies. At one point, they stop near a mirrored column. He glances at her reflection, then gently straightens the strap of her dress where it has twisted slightly. "There," he says, "better." The gesture is small, respectful, but it sends a strange warmth through her chest. "You did not have to do that," she says. "I know," he answers. They move again. This time, she lets him lead. Someone compliments her dress. She starts to explain that it is borrowed, that it is not really hers, but he cuts in smoothly. "She has great taste," he says. "That is why I trust her." The conversation shifts. The pressure lifts. She realizes she is smiling for real now. Her ex appears again, this time not directly, but close enough to observe. He watches them from across the room, his expression unreadable. She feels the old instinct flare again, the desire to shrink, to make herself smaller. The man beside her senses it instantly. "Eyes up," he says quietly. "You are not on trial." She straightens. A woman approaches them, impeccably dressed, curiosity sharp behind her smile. "You two look very close," the woman says. "How long have you been together?" The question lands like a test. She opens her mouth, but he answers without hesitation. "Long enough to know what matters," he says. The woman nods, satisfied, and moves on. She turns to him, startled. "That was vague." "And done." "Vague is safe," he replies. Details invite questions. She laughs under her breath, the sound surprising both of them. "Is this what you always do?" she asks. "Manage perceptions." He considers the question. "I manage outcomes." They stop near the edge of the dance floor. Music hums low and steady, something elegant and slow. Couples sway in practiced rhythms. She watches them, feeling suddenly out of place again. "You do not have to do this part," she says quickly. "We did not agree to dancing." He studies her face, reading more than her words. "Are you uncomfortable?" he asks. She hesitates. "I am not sure." He offers his hand, palm open. "We can stand here," he says, "or we can dance for one song. Either way, it is your choice. No pressure, no performance." She looks at his hand, then at the room, then back at him. "One song," she says. He nods and leads her onto the floor. They do not move dramatically, just enough to blend in. His hand rests at her waist, careful, controlled. Her hand settles on his shoulder, uncertain at first, then steadier. "You are doing fine," he says softly. She meets his eyes. For a moment, the lie fades into the background. There is no X, no audience, no contract spoken or unspoken. Just two people moving together, aware that something has shifted, and neither of them says it out loud. Because if they do, this stops being pretend. And neither of them is ready for what comes after that. The music fades, and the room shifts again. Applause breaks out near the stage as someone important finishes a short speech. Glasses lift. Attention turns outward. The moment on the dance floor dissolves, leaving behind a quiet awareness she cannot quite name. They step away together. "That was enough," she says softly, more to steady herself than to end the dance. He nods. "You did well." "I did nothing," she replies. "You stayed," he says. "That counts." They return to the edge of the crowd just as her ex reappears, this time with purpose. His smile is gone now. What replaces it is sharper, more calculating, as if he has decided something. He stops directly in front of them. "I have to ask," he says, voice loud enough for people nearby to hear. "Are you actually together, or is this just for show?" The air tightens. She feels eyes turn toward them. Conversations soften, curiosity spreading like a ripple through the room. This is no longer a private challenge. It is a public test. Her mouth goes dry. The rules flash through her mind. Follow his lead. Do not explain. Do not apologize. Her ex tilts his head, pressing. "Because if you are going to parade a relationship around, you should at least be honest about it." She senses the shift before she sees it. The man beside her straightens, his expression calm, but something deeper settles into his posture. Not anger, decision. "Honesty," he says, voice steady, "is not always loud." Her ex smirks. That sounds like avoidance. A few people laugh nervously. She feels the familiar burn rise in her chest. The old version of herself would have stepped back, let the moment pass, absorbed the humiliation quietly. She does not move this time. The man turns to her, not to the crowd, not to her ex, to her. His gaze holds hers, asking a question without words, offering a choice without pressure. Her heart pounds. This was not part of the plan. She barely has time to nod before he leans in. The kiss is not rushed. It is not dramatic. It is deliberate. His hand cups her cheek gently, steadying her as much as himself. The room disappears. There is no audience, no past, no calculation, just the warmth of his presence and the unmistakable certainty of the moment. When he pulls back, silence hangs heavy. Her ex stares, stunned. "Is that clear enough?" the man asks calmly. A murmur spreads through the room. Surprise, curiosity, acceptance. Her ex recovers just enough to scoff. Impressive performance. The man does not look at him. "We do not perform." He turns away, guiding her with him before the moment can be picked apart. They move quickly now, slipping into a quieter corridor lined with tall windows and soft lighting. The door closes behind them. She presses a hand to her lips, breath unsteady. "You did not have to do that," she says, though her voice lacks conviction. He does not answer immediately. When he does, it is low and controlled. "I know." "Then why did you?" He meets her gaze. The distance between them feels charged now, unfamiliar. "Because," he says, "they were not going to stop." She swallows. "And the kiss, that," he admits, "was not for them." End quote. The words settle between them, heavy and undeniable. Her pulse races. That was not part of the agreement. "No," he says, "it was not." They stand there, the lie fractured, something real pressing through the cracks. And for the first time since the night began, neither of them knows exactly where this is going next. Only that there is no turning back to pretending it meant nothing. They do not speak for several seconds. The corridor is quiet, muffled from the noise of the party beyond the closed doors. City lights glow through the tall windows, distant and detached, as if the world outside is unaware that something irreversible has just happened. She is the first to break the silence. "That kiss," she says carefully, "changed things." "Yes," he answers. Not an excuse, not a denial, Just the truth. She folds her arms, more to steady herself than to create distance. You said this was about getting me through the night. It was, he replies, until it was not. Her eyes lift to his. That is not reassuring. I am not trying to reassure you, he says quietly. I am trying to be honest. The word lands hard between them. She lets out a breath she did not realize she was holding. You do not get to decide that alone. I know, he says. That is why I stopped here. She studies him, searching for signs of regret or calculation. Instead, she finds restraint, control. A man choosing his words because they matter. You could have walked away, she says. You could have let me deal with him. He nods once. I could have, but you did not. No. Why? He does not answer immediately. When he does, his voice is lower, more careful. Because I recognize that look, he says. The one you had when he questioned you. I have seen it before. On who? She asks. On people who are used to being underestimated, he replies. People who have learned to brace themselves instead of pushing back. Her throat tightens. That is not your responsibility, she says. I am aware, he says, but it does not make it easy to ignore. She turns toward the window, pressing her fingertips against the cool glass. This was supposed to be simple. Yes, he agrees. It rarely stays that way. She closes her eyes briefly, grounding herself. We need to reset, she says. Right now. He waits. The agreement was one night, she continues. No emotional involvement, no crossing lines. That kiss crossed a line. He does not argue. It did. And if we keep going like this, she adds, someone gets hurt. His gaze does not leave her. That is already a possibility. She turns back to face him. Then, we need rules. He straightens slightly, listening. From this point on, she says, we do not repeat that. No more touches that can be misunderstood. No more moments that blur what this is. And what is it? He asks. She hesitates. A temporary arrangement. He nods slowly. For your safety and peace of mind. Yes. And after tonight, we go back to being strangers, she says. The word feels heavier than it should. He studies her for a long moment, then inclines his head. Agreed. Relief washes through her, followed quickly by something else. Disappointment, sharp and unwelcome. Good, she says, forcing steadiness into her voice. Then we finish the night, cleanly. He steps back, creating deliberate space between them. Lead the way, he says. She reaches for the door handle, pausing only once. That kiss, she says without turning around, cannot mean anything. He answers just as quietly. I understand. She opens the door. Neither of them says what both already know. Understanding something does not make it disappear, and whatever has begun here will not be so easily contained. Hey, step back into the ballroom with space between them now. To anyone watching, it still looks natural, polite, appropriate, but she feels the difference immediately. The warmth is gone, replaced by careful distance. A reset, just as she asked. The room has shifted while they were gone. People are gathering closer to the stage. A quiet ripple of anticipation moves through the crowd as a member of the event staff adjusts the microphone. The hum of conversation lowers, refined into expectation. What is happening? She asks under her breath. Closing remarks, he replies. And introductions. Her stomach tightens. They stop near the edge of the crowd. She folds her hands together, grounding herself, reminding her heart to slow down. This is almost over. She just needs to get through the last part. The host steps forward, smiling broadly. Thank you all for being here tonight, he says. Before we conclude, I would like to recognize a few individuals who made this evening possible. Applause follows. Names are read. Faces turn. People nod politely. Then the host pauses. And finally, he continues, please join me in welcoming the man whose leadership and vision continue to shape not just this company, but this entire industry. She feels it before she understands it. The air around him changes. People straighten, phones lower. Attention locks forward. Our Chief Executive Officer, the host says clearly. Please welcome him to the stage. Her breath catches. She turns slowly. He does not move at first. His expression remains composed, unreadable. But she sees the flicker in his eyes now, the moment he knows there is no more room to hide. The applause grows louder. Someone behind her whispers his name with admiration. It lands like a blow. Chief Executive Officer. The word echoes in her mind, rearranging every moment of the night with ruthless clarity. The confidence, the authority, the way the room bent around him without question. It all makes sense now. He steps forward, not toward the stage yet, toward her. "This is where you hear it from someone else," he says quietly. Her chest tightens. "You knew." "Yes. And you still let me stand there," she says, voice barely steady, pretending. "Has agenter. Well, ein Jorsums, if you please two Orlums, I let you choose how to get through the night," he replies. "I did not think the reveal would happen like this." The applause surges again. The host gestures, waiting. She feels heat rush to her face. "So the entire time," she says, "this was just another role for you?" "No," he says firmly. "It was not, but the damage is already done." Her ex appears at the edge of the crowd, eyes alight with something close to satisfaction. He leans toward a group nearby, speaking just loud enough. "I always wondered how she got invited," he says. "Now I see. Connections." The words slice through her. She straightens, anger replacing the shock. He hears it too. "That is enough," he says, turning sharply. Her ex smirks. "What? Telling the truth now that the mask is off?" She steps back, putting space between herself and the man she thought she knew tonight. "You should go," she says to him. "You have a stage waiting." He looks at her, something raw breaking through his control. "Please." But the host is calling his name again. The room is watching. He exhales once, then turns and walks toward the stage. Applause erupts. She does not clap. She stands frozen, surrounded by people who suddenly look at her differently. Not with curiosity now, but with calculation. The night has flipped. What began as a lie to survive has become a truth she was never prepared to face. And standing there alone, she realizes the hardest part is not that he is powerful. It is that he did not trust her with the truth. She does not stay for the speech. The applause swells as he begins to speak, his voice calm, confident, practiced. Words about vision, growth, responsibility. The kind of speech that reassures investors and commands loyalty. She hears none of it. She turns and walks away, heels steady against the marble floor, head high even as her chest tightens with every step. She does not rush. She refuses to give anyone the satisfaction of watching her retreat. The hallway outside the ballroom is nearly empty now. Staff move quietly, efficient, and invisible. She finds a quiet alcove near the elevators and finally allows herself to breathe. So that is who he is. Not just confident, not just capable, powerful, and suddenly, every moment of the night replays itself through a harsher lens. The way people moved for him, the way doors opened, the way her ex backed down without knowing why. She presses her fingers into her palms, grounding herself. He did not tell me, she thinks. He let me stand there and pretend, knowing exactly what would happen when the truth came out. Footsteps approach. She does not turn, but she knows it is him before he speaks. "You left," he says quietly. "Yes," she replies. "I did." She faces him now. Up close, he looks different, less distant, less untouchable. The controlled executive mask has cracked just enough to reveal tension beneath it. "I was going to explain," he says. "When?" she asks. "After the applause? After everyone decided who I was supposed to be? That was not my intention, but it was the result," she says. Her voice is steady, even as her heart pounds. "You took away my choice." He nods slowly. "You are right." The admission catches her off guard. "I should have told you," he continues. "I did not because I was afraid it would change how you looked at me." She laughs softly, without humor. "It would have, because it did change everything." He steps closer, stopping well within conversational distance, but not touching her. "I never wanted you to feel small," he says. "And yet," she replies, "that is exactly how this feels." Silence stretches between them. "I need you to understand something," she says finally. "I did not agree to be protected. I agreed to survive one night without being humiliated." He holds her gaze. "I know." "And the moment you kissed me," she continues, "you crossed from helping into deciding for me." "I was wrong," he says immediately. The simplicity of the words disarms her. "You did not even hesitate," she says. "I have had time to think," he replies. "Standing on that stage, listening to my own voice, I realized something." "What?" "That power is useless if it costs me integrity," he says. "And tonight, I lost some of mine." Her throat tightens despite herself. Behind them, raised voices echo faintly from the ballroom entrance. She recognizes her ex's tone immediately. Defensive. Aggressive. "He is telling people you used me," she says quietly, "that I am just another woman trying to climb." His jaw tightens. "That will stop." She looks at him sharply. "Do not." "I am not threatening him," he says. "I am correcting a lie." "He's no way." "And what does that look like in your world?" she asks. "Security escorting him out? A quiet phone call that ends his career?" "No," he says firmly. "It looks like the truth." He takes a breath. "I am going back in there," he continues. "Not as your boyfriend, not as your shield, as myself." She studies him, wary. "And what will you say?" "That there was no arrangement," he answers. "No transaction, no benefit, that you owe me nothing." Her pulse quickens. "Why would you do that?" "Because I want you to walk out of this building with your dignity intact," he says. "Even if it means I lose the illusion we built tonight." She searches his face for calculation and finds none. "And after that?" she asks. He meets her eyes. "After that, the choice is yours. Completely." The words settle between them. For the first time since the night began, he is not leading. He is waiting. She exhales slowly. "Then go," she says. "Fix what you broke. And please sivity foris." He nods once. "Stay here." "I will," she replies. He turns and walks back toward the ballroom. She remains where she is, heart racing, unsure whether this is the end of the lie or the beginning of something far more dangerous. But for the first time, whatever happens next will be real. And that terrifies her more than any lie ever did. The ballroom quiets again, not with polite anticipation this time, but with confusion. She hears it even from the hallway. The applause has stopped. Voices murmur. Something has shifted. Then the doors open. He steps out first, scanning the room until his eyes find hers. When they do, he nods once. A silent signal. It is done. She walks back inside. Every step feels different now. Lighter, steadier. The whispers follow her, but they no longer carry the same weight. People look at her, yes, but not with suspicion, with curiosity, with recalibration. The host stands awkwardly near the stage, microphone lowered. A few guests look unsettled. Her ex is nowhere to be seen. She stops beside him. "I told them the truth," he says quietly. Her heart pounds. "Which truth?" "That there was no arrangement," he answers. "No favor, no transaction. You did not use me, and I did not rescue you." She searches his face. "And him?" "He chose to leave," he says simply, "after I made it clear that spreading lies would not be tolerated in this room. Not threatened, not punished, corrected." A few people nearby overhear. They nod slowly, as if a puzzle has finally clicked into place. She exhales. "You did not have to do that," she says. "Yes," he replies. "I did." The host clears his throat, uncertain. "Shall we continue?" "No," he says calmly. "We are done for the night." He turns to her. "I am done pretending," he adds, "in any direction." The room holds its breath. She looks at him, really looks at him, not as the powerful figure everyone else sees, but as the man who stood between her and humiliation, then stepped aside when he realized he had gone too far. "You said the choice would be mine," she says. "It is," he answers. Still, she nods once. "Then here is my choice," she says. She reaches into her bag and pulls out the folded card he gave her earlier in the night, the one that symbolized the rules, the temporary agreement, the boundary that was supposed to keep everything clean. She unfolds it slowly, then tears it in half. Gasps ripple through the room. "This ends now," she says clearly. "No lies, no roles, no borrowed confidence." She steps closer to him. "If we stand together," she continues, "it is because we choose to, not because it is convenient, not because it looks good." His eyes never leave hers. "That is all I have ever wanted," he says. She studies his face one last time, searching for doubt. There is none. She reaches for him first. This kiss is nothing like the last one. There is no audience to silence, no ex to defeat, no narrative to protect. It is slower, softer, mutual. When they pull back, the room exhales. Applause breaks out, tentative at first, then genuine. Not for power, not for spectacle, for clarity. Later, as they walk out together into the cool night air, the city stretching wide and honest before them, she laughs quietly. "All of this," she says, "because I panicked." He smiles. "Sometimes the wrong move reveals the right person." She slips her hand into his. This time, no one is watching, and for the first time that night, she does not feel like she is pretending to belong. She already does.